Over 21 years ago, in the intersection of Flamingo and Koval, the acclaimed rapper Tupac was shot 4 times and died days later at UMC. 6 months later, fellow rap artist the Notorious B.I.G. was gunned down in Los Angeles. And tonight, USA takes on the crimes you know and the story you don't in Unsolved, the murders of Tupac and the Notorious B.I.G. Actor Josh Duhamel plays an LAPD detective in the 10-episode true crime series. And he joins us now. Josh, good morning, sir.
Hi, how are you?
Doing pretty well. I'm trying to remember where I was mentally at the time of B.I.G. and Tupac, and I was 12, and I knew, okay, these are two guys that don't like each other because this is what's been delivered to me in the media. I knew they were huge. I was in the East Coast. We loved California, loved the West Coast, loved some B.I.G. tracks. These are two artists that were at the peak of their game. They were both gunned down within 6 months of each other, and the assumption has always been that members of each camp killed each other, and the series is looking for the truth behind these conspiracies, isn't it?
Right. First of all, I can't believe you were 12. You just made me feel really old. I was actually I had just moved from North Dakota to California right before Tupac was shot.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm not far from where he lived in Marin City, north of San Francisco. You know, for me, I was the same way. A kid from North Dakota, as far away from either the East Coast or West Coast as you could be, still loved both of these guys as artists, and was confused why they were shot, why they were taken so early.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of conspiracies over the years about what actually happened, who actually did it. But this series really just pulls back the curtains, really, and gives you an insight as to how good of friends these two actually were in the beginning, before they were sort of ripped apart by this rivalry. How these deaths really affected them, or affected their families, and really how obsessive these detectives became trying to bring justice to the families. And that's what I think people are really going to love about this. It's very similar to the People versus OJ, in that we thought we knew everything there was to know, and this is a much more intimate look into the lives of them and their families and the people that their deaths affected.
I'm glad that you mentioned the People versus O.J. Simpson as well. Anthony Hemingway did amazing work on that. He's in on this as well.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you, like the rest of America, watched that series. You must have been thrilled to be a part of this. I mean, it's a very powerful storytelling.
Yeah. Well, I was in college when the whole O.J. trial was going down, and I remember skipping class a lot of times just to see what was actually going to happen. So I really did think I knew everything there was to know. So that's what I found the most fascinating about that show, is that it was just a totally different perspective on how that whole trial affected the people around it. And that's really what this show is trying to do, is give insight as to how these deaths affected not only these guys, but everybody around them. They weren't just hip-hop icons. They were young men who were at the peak of their game and were humans. With families, with parents and brothers and sisters, and how did this affect everybody around them?
Absolutely. I've been looking forward to this series for a long time. February 27th, we get to see it. My friend, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, Unsolved, the murders of Tupac and the Notorious B.I.G. A 10-episode true crime limited series event begins tonight at 10 on USA Network.